It's been a minute since I've updated my legendary hero tier list for Call of Dragons, so today we're gonna go and do exactly that, based off the information we have so far from Magrat and Zeta slaying it in statue fights. So stick around in this video for the 2024 tier list update, including brand new Magrat and Zeta, and A are just gonna take over this list. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today's video is sponsored by the makers of Call of Dragons. And I feel silly saying today's video was sponsored and then putting the new heroes all the way up in the S tier. But the reality is that the new heroes are insane. If you're using the long range warfare seasonal talent, this combo is constantly pulling down 60,000 merits or higher. It is busted, bro. So I'm gonna put Zeta, probably is the #1 hero in the game. I'm not sure between the two of them which one is actually the better hero, but together they are so strong. Now, the crazy thing about this game is that it seems like hero pairs are very married together, although Zeta could be pretty versatile in who she ultimately pairs with. But the two do have a small amount of synergy, and they go all the way at the top. All right. Now, I want to fill out the rest of the S tier. Normally, people start from the bottom and work their way up. Maybe that's more exciting, but we're kicking this thing off with a bang. And if you like getting the value up front, consider smashing the subscribe button and throwing a like on the video. All right. So up next, Goresh and Skogul. They're both goated, man. I pulled down a 60,000 plus merit report using this particular combo. Now, this is my best combo, and it's pretty strong if you're mostly ignored. It's really silly the things that you can go and do. So yeah, Goresh and Skogul are amazing. I'm even in a season where they are testing infantry and troops in general not blocking each other on the map, which means that they can just like walk past my infantry. It's very weird, but I can also walk through them and it's still working great. Now, this next pick is a little controversial to leave in at the S tier, and I'll leave it at like the very end of S tier because I still think they're goated. They're still my go-to ranged march, and that is none other than Lily and Velen. And the two of them, with their area of effect damage, it's just so good. And the, not the Berserk Phaedrake, the Sapphire Phaedrake pet is nice. Nice AoE damage cooking up once you get some upgrades on there. So yeah, this combo is still doing really well for me and other people. And it's easy to use because of the range. It's very much a go-to, especially if you're low on troops and you want to play for a while rather than, run around with infantry and, just accumulate a ton. And I do mean a ton of hospital. Yeah, it's a lot easier to just chill in the back. Long range warfare makes that a little bit tricky with your marksman, but those are the S tier heroes, in my opinion, in Call of Dragons right now. Now, with that said, there are people using Bert and Tohar, and I would put them both at A quality. And it's weird because normally you wouldn't just like throw all the heroes in pairs together as a ranking, and they're not really ranked together, except you'd only ever really want to use them together. Like, you can split them, but why? Like, they're so much better together. I guess if you were lower on tokens, you might say, well, Tohar is lower priority perhaps than Bertrand, but like, I'm not even exactly sure that that's necessarily true. Regardless, I think the two of them, especially together, go in the A tier. And if you're going to work on one, you should work on the other, and that's true of pretty much all these pairs here. All right. Up next is a oldie but goodie, Hosk and Kanara, and I think they still deserve A tier. The counterattack damage situation is really good for them. It continues to be good, and there are seasonal talents that will make it so that if you choose them, you can get your awakening on Hosk going within the first 5 seconds of combat, which actually is kind of busted. So yeah, the two together are working great. I started using them. I have not looked back. I think most people use them in that order. And there are a few holdouts for using Nico. I would actually put Nico probably in the B tier, especially with long range warfare. He's still super viable. And I mean, he's just not got quite as much counterattack and not quite as much punch as the other pairing that I'm gonna drop into A tier. And both Sindrian and Freygar, they are A tier. They're really outstanding. There's a lot of things you could do with either of them. Double normal attacks on Sindrian is always good, and extra crit rate is also really in style on Freygar. So I think that the two of them are solid choices for the A tier. Now we get down to the dregs, and I'm not actually going to do all these epics that are on here because they're mostly just a kind of cut below all the other options you'd have, but I do want to get some calves represented, and this is where I think Ferondil and Theodore sort of show up. And the weirdness with those two is that I still don't feel like there's that much use for Cav. Like, they just die really fast. I would love to see someone who's actually fighting a meta opponent of equal or greater strength, and that they actually can use cavalry to push positions where the main fight is happening. If you can do that, I believe it can be done. It's just, I'm not saying the power level of Ferondil and Theodore is bad. And remember, this is an open field tier list. It's not a garrison tier list. It's not a Roots of War tier list where cavalry are much, much more valuable. No, this is what wins and loses seasons, and I don't think it's these two heroes. Otherwise, I'd bump them higher if I thought cavalry had a bigger role. And on the topic of cavalry not having a bigger role, I'm going to put Bakshi at C because I don't think he's stronger than Theodore and Ferondil. And I'm going to put Emrys at D. And I know there's like Emrys lovers out there that would say that's like really crazy. And it might be. Maybe I should just put both the cavalry at D. Because again, show me a situation with a meta opponent of equal or greater strength where cavalry are honestly being used in frontline big brawl pushes that define the season. I don't know, man. I have experienced a lot of really crazy fights, and I have never seen cavalry be the go-to or the defining troop. And maybe we're just doing it wrong, but honestly, if anything, I would bump Bakshi down, not Emrys up. Now, on the topic of heroes that got just bumped way down, if we can't block a physical unit anymore, which seems to potentially be the direction the game is going, it's in testing. Certainly for my season, you've got Madeline and Garwood, which actually are pretty good together, just multiple tiers now below what you had before. And look, they're just really tanky, but they don't do any damage, and you take a not great report. So if you're going to be kind of eating a lot of damage, you at least need to stop the enemy from getting past you, but you can't. So yeah, I don't think I can honestly bump them higher than a C, even though I would love to use them. I'm not even leveling them right now, which just is like really tragic. Like I have dragon scale armor, it's just going to be benched, and it just is what it is. And maybe at some point I'll use it, and maybe at some point the game will move in the direction of not making you level every season. Then we'd have a different conversation, but given the way that it works, those two are benched for me, and that is tragic because I considered myself a double infantry player in the last season, and here we are, and I would not say that. From there, let's continue ranking infantry. Nika is D. I mean, look, it is possible that maybe you could do a little more with her now that maybe infantry aren't getting as focused. It is actually possible that I need to bump her up and think of my infantry more like brawlers. Maybe that's the play. Maybe this is a wrong rating. I hope that it is. And if it is, I'll update the pinned comment, or the next time I do this list, I will have a lot to say, okay? Because I don't trust that she's going to be good enough, so I'm not leveling her up, and I'm not trying to do like Madeline and Nika, and I would just put her at D. If I'm going to do another infantry pair, it's going to be the Garwood, I think. Last but not least, I've got two heroes here that I really don't know where to put. That's Thea, and that's also Indus. And I struggle with this because I know there's Indus lovers out there that are like really obsessed with their Indus. And I'm not one of them. I'm not. I think the best I personally would give Indus is a C. And quite frankly, I would personally probably put her at D. But I know that the Indus lovers out there will lose their mind, and they're already probably pretty pissed that I just said that. So like, under the assumption there's things I don't understand about Indus, and I don't think that's the case, but it's certainly possible, then we would put her in C. Why would she be ranked higher? Her debuff is really, really powerful, but that's pretty much the beginning and end of what she does. She reduces the counterattack damage she takes, so if you're not getting attacked at all, there's some coolness there, but I generally am not very interested in using Indus. And then Thea is really curious. I just generally don't think very highly of shielding and healing effects in the game. The thing is that I could like do 10,000 plus damage, or I could shield 1,000 damage. This is a me problem that I don't quite understand, like why healing and shielding is perhaps more valuable than I'm giving it credit for, and why a shield for like 1,400 damage prevention, at least that's what shows up on the screen, worth of damage prevention, right? Like something in that range is going to be better than doing like 10,000 damage with an active skill. But if you do awaken your Thea, she does shield something nearby, and that's pretty cool. You do need to stand like really close to get that to work, but hey, she can also fly. She is really versatile. For those reasons, I'm gonna bump her up to a B. I think it's unfair to put her at C. Flyer works with pretty much any of your flying units that you'd be interested in using. So like, yeah, all right, I'll give her the B. And there you have it, Chisgule Gaming's open field tier list for Call of Dragons as of SoB season 2, SoB2. I think is where we're at. I don't know, man. I can't keep track of the numbering and naming. Like every season, it all flips around. But we're on the Belleron map. It's May of 2024 at the time of this recording. Is it May? Oh my God. Wow, time is flying. If you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe to the channel. I've got a couple other tier lists and fights coming up really soon, so I'll probably stream the fights. I think that's the game plan. I didn't stream them last time, and I don't regret not streaming them, but I feel like maybe this time around I'll stream a little more. It all depends on the level of intensity of the action. It's a fight in an early zone, so like nobody's got a lot of healing or healing cost reduction. It's gonna be brutal. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.